Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I have a budget of $12 to feed my family for the entire day. So let's get into it. As you may be able to tell, I have no voice. It's exactly what I wanted to happen to me this week. So I actually filmed all this a couple days ago in the hopes that my voice would be back in plenty of time to do a nice voiceover. But here we are the day before this is supposed to come out, and I still sound like this, which is better than I sounded 2 days ago, but still not quite there yet. So unfortunately, my voiceover for this video is going to be a little bit rough, but I am going to do my best and we are going to make it through. So I went to Walmart with the goal of $12 to feed my family all day, and my goal was to make a little bit more food than we need to accommodate to any other families that might be watching this that need a little bit more food than we do. So all of these meals should feed 4 to 6 people depending on your serving sizes, and each one of these are good hearty meals. And the best part of this meal plan is that lunch is very easy to make ahead and reheat for later in case you need to meal prep it, because obviously there are a lot of us that are not home and do have to take lunch to work or something like that, and they're not there to make lunch, so you got to have it packed up and ready to go. So that is a possibility for the lunch I'm preparing today. So let me show you what I got and then we can get into the recipes.
All right, so this is everything I got at Walmart. My total was $12.18. I got a dozen eggs, a loaf of bread, some bologna, 2 pounds of rice, turkey gravy mix, peas and carrots, and some green beans. The first thing I got started was this bologna. I like using this skillet when I have a lot of things to cook in the morning, like pancakes or something like that. But I just got all this on there, and I also like to cut a little sliver in each of the pieces. Otherwise, the bologna starts to puff up and it doesn't brown evenly. Next, I got 6 of my eggs scrambled up and I added some complete seasoning and I got those in the skillet. And then I flipped all the bologna over when it was done. After that was browned up, as much as I wanted it to be, my eggs were pretty much done on one side, so I flipped those over and I put 3 pieces of bread on the griddle to toast those up. I knew that we were only going to eat those 3 pieces, so I didn't feel the need to cook anymore, but it's there in case anyone wanted it. So, this is breakfast. It was very delicious, very filling, and there was plenty more bread in case we needed more toast. There was also 3 pieces of bologna left and 6 eggs. For lunch, I'm going to be making up some stir fry. I actually had some rice cooking during breakfast and I put that in the fridge to cool off before I needed it for lunch. So I put the peas and carrots in a pan and just seasoned those up with salt and got those cooking while I got a sauce going. Obviously, you do not need to use all of these ingredients. This is just an example of a sauce I made with some things I found in my fridge. I started with 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, a good sized tablespoon of some of this oyster sauce. This is a Korean chili paste called gochujang. You could use sriracha or just chili flakes if you want a little bit of spice. And about 3 teaspoons of soy sauce, or I guess just a tablespoon. I also added a couple dashes of fish sauce. This is something I really like to have in my fridge, and I mixed that in really well together. Next, I added about a tablespoon of minced garlic and a couple teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. You could use white vinegar, rice vinegar, whatever you have on hand. And I usually don't carry sesame seeds in my pantry, so I just use some bagel seasoning in there. I wanted to use up the rest of that bologna, so I diced that up and then I cracked the remaining 6 eggs and scrambled those. I added the bologna to the pan once the veggies had cooked up, and I chopped that up all together and let that cook for a couple minutes with some soy sauce in it. Then, after that cooked for a couple minutes, I added all the rice and broke that up together with a spatula, and I had to go in with my hands, but that's alright. After I got that mixed in pretty well, I added the sauce and stirred it all in together really well. I let that cook for about 5 minutes, not stirring it at all until it had a nice crispy bottom, and I started flipping it over. After that cooked for the same amount of time on the other side, I pushed all of the rice off to the side of the pan and added the eggs to the other side. I seasoned those quick with some complete seasoning and then basically just kind of push the eggs to the side so that they get nice and fluffy and cook all the way through. Then, once the eggs were cooked, I just mixed them in with everything else, let it cook for a few minutes, and we were good to go. These are our plates for lunch. They got a little burny in some spots while I was cooking the eggs, but the bowls are a good size and we have a ton of leftovers. These leftovers actually fed us for lunch 2 different times, so there was 5 full servings of stir fry. All right, so we are on to dinner. Thank you so much for sticking with me thus far. I know my voice is not the best to listen to today, but this is all the leftover rice. I rinsed it and I'm putting it in a pan to toast it up. So while that rice is starting, I took some of our remaining bread and toasted 3 pieces of it. And then I broke up those pieces and put them in my little chopper that I got. I made a comment about getting one of these a couple of videos ago, and I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna grab one. So I chopped these up into little breadcrumbs and I added those to the turkey. To season this, I added 1 teaspoon of Tony's, some Italian seasoning, maybe about half a teaspoon of paprika, and another half teaspoon or so of garlic powder, and then I added 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And then I just mixed that up together really well and formed it into 6 patties. So then back to the toasted rice. I seasoned this with 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon powder, about a teaspoon of onion powder, and just a little bit of Italian seasoning for color. And because this was about 3 cups of rice, I added 5 cups of water to this. I covered this and let it cook for about 15 minutes before I got the rest of everything else cooking. I added some oil to my pan and added all of the turkey burgers into here. And then I added my whole can of drained green beans to this pan, and I put some bacon fat in there that I have in my freezer, as well as some minced garlic, some salt, and some pepper. After about 5 minutes, that rice was done, so I fluffed that up and put it off to the side covered so it stays hot. And then I put my gravy packet in a jar with 1.5 cups of water and poured that into a sauce pot. And by that time, my turkey burgers were ready to flip, so I flipped those over and gave them a little mush so they flattened out a bit. And then I also stirred up my green beans so all those flavors would really start to come together. And I just let everything cook for another 5 or 6 minutes. And then lastly, I wanted to use up some more of this bread, so I made us some simple garlic toast with just some butter, a sprinkle of garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, and a little bit of shaky Parmesan cheese. I put this in my toaster oven for about 4 or 5 minutes until it was nice and brown. And these are our plates. My daughter was so excited she nabbed her plate before I could even film it and started eating. This was honestly delicious, and we have tons of leftovers too.
All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up down below and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.